Hello there. Um, this is going to be a little bit different. See, I'm going to switch between regular Conan, Robert E. Howard type stories and other AI written Conan stories that are versus stories. So this will be the first of them. This is Conan versus Dracula, but it has another title. Let me just find it here. Dracula, the Barbarian and the Vampire. Now, this is written by another, whatever they call the separate GPTs. Uh, it's still written by ChatGPT, but this starts off with a little bit of a forward, kind of describing what it is. And it started to say something at the end, but it just gets cut off. So don't worry about what it is. Starting to say this reimagining. It doesn't even get through the word reimagining. So here's Conan versus Dracula. Dracula, the Barbarian and the Vampire.
Here's a reimagining of Dracula, with Conan the Barbarian brought into the Gothic horror setting. This version mixes Bram Stoker's atmospheric tension with Conan's unrelenting strength and cunning. Dracula, the Barbarian, and the Vampire. In the late 19th century, Jonathan Harker traveled to Transylvania to meet the enigmatic Count Dracula. The Count's imposing castle, perched atop jagged cliffs, seemed a fitting home for a man shrouded in mystery. But as Jonathan soon discovered, Dracula was no ordinary man. He was a creature of the night, an immortal vampire. Jonathan's letters ceased. Mina, his fiancée, grew desperate, and word of strange happenings in Transylvania reached the ears of adventurers across the lands. Among them was Conan of Cimmeria, a mercenary and treasure seeker who happened to be in Eastern Europe chasing rumors of an ancient horde hidden in the Carpathian Mountains. When Mina begged for his aid, Conan grinned. I've fought sorcerers, demons, and beasts beyond reason. What's one more monster? The Castle of Shadows. Conan reached Castle Dracula on a stormy night. The winds howled, and the shadows seemed alive. As he approached, the castle gates creaked open, as if inviting him inside. Torch in hand, Conan strode into the grand hall, his broadsword strapped across his back. Dracula emerged from the shadows, a tall, pale figure with eyes like burning coals. You are no ordinary visitor, the vampire lord said, his voice smooth and unyielding. And you're no ordinary man, Conan replied, his hand instinctively resting on his sword hilt. But I've faced worse. Dracula chuckled, his fangs glinting in the torchlight. You believe your brute strength will save you? Foolish barbarian, I am eternal. We'll see how eternal you are when your head's rolling on the floor, Conan growled. The battle begins. Dracula wasted no time, transforming into a swirling cloud of bats that descended upon Conan. But the barbarian was no stranger to the supernatural. Swinging his torch wildly, he scattered the bats and lunged forward, his sword cutting through the air. Dracula reappeared in his human form, his speed inhuman as he dodged Conan's strikes. He retaliated with claws that raked across Conan's chest, but the barbarian merely roared, the pain fueling his rage. You've got claws, vampire, Conan spat. But I've got steel. Their battle raged through the castle, smashing furniture and shattering ancient stone walls. Conan's raw strength matched Dracula's supernatural power blow for blow. But Dracula was cunning, retreating and retreating into the shadows to regenerate and strike from unexpected angles. Allies in the fight. As Conan fought Dracula, Mina and Professor Van Helsing arrived, armed with holy water, crosses, and wooden stakes. Van Helsing shouted, Conan, you cannot defeat him by strength alone. His power is tied to the unholy ground of this castle. Then I'll bury him under it, Conan snarled, gripping his sword tightly. Mina and Van Helsing worked to disrupt Dracula's connection to his sanctuary, sprinkling holy water on the soil and chanting prayers. Dracula hissed in fury, his attacks growing more desperate as he realized his power was waning. The final confrontation. Dracula transformed into a massive wolf, lunging at Conan with feral speed. Conan met him head-on, plunging his sword into the beast's side. With a howl of agony, Dracula reverted to his human form, blood pouring from his wound. Conan stood over him, his sword poised for the killing blow. You're strong, vampire, Conan said, but strength is nothing without honor. Dracula smirked through the pain. You cannot kill what is already dead. Then I'll destroy you. With a roar, Conan swung his sword, severing Dracula's head. The vampire lord's body crumbled to ash, and the castle trembled as its dark magic unraveled. The aftermath. As the first light of dawn broke over the mountains, Conan, Mina, and Van Helsing stood outside the ruins of Castle Dracula. The curse that had plagued the land was lifted, and the villagers below rejoiced, their long nightmare finally over. Mina turned to Conan. You've saved us all. Will you stay and rest? Conan shook his head. This land has seen enough of me. There are other battles to fight, other treasures to claim. He looked toward the horizon, a faint smile on his lips. But if your kind ever needs steel again, you know where to find me. Van Helsing clasped Conan's hand. You may be a barbarian, but tonight you were a hero. As Conan strode away, the sunlight glinting off his blade, the legend of the barbarian who slew Dracula began to spread, whispered in awe across the lands. This remake.
Like I said, it was starting to say something at the end there, but the story itself did finish off. There was just going to be a little something at the end there about this reimagining and what the reimagining did, but that reimagining wasn't the greatest thing in the world. You know, I felt like Conan's dialogue was a little goofy. Like, you can't kill me. It's like, well, I'll just destroy you. And it's like, it's fun. Maybe if you were looking for a serious story, I'm really sorry because I was kind of hoping this would be a little more serious, but I think this was a failed attempt at being serious. Um, I do have other regular Conan stories that are not crossing over with any other books or anything like that, but I also have a couple other versus stories. So if you like this, in the future there will be Conan versus 1984 and Conan versus I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And I think both of them were a little better than this one, to be honest. But you know, this wasn't terrible. This is what I asked for. It's Conan versus Dracula, and I didn't give it any guidelines or anything. It just went for it. And so, yeah. Um, I hope you enjoyed this story. If you didn't enjoy this story, maybe we can still enjoy it as kind of a so bad it's good kind of story. But you know, I liked it, but maybe because I thought it was a little bit cringy. But Conan killed Dracula. Well, that's what you want. Rock and roll. Well, thank you for viewing this story, and I love you, and good luck. Oh, didn't hit the button right.